Okay, call this work session to order, Wednesday, February 21st. Time is 1 p.m. Visitor comments. Come on up and have a seat if you'd like. State your name, please, for the record.
My name is Evelyn Hudson. I'm with the Mega Egg Hunt at the fairgrounds, and would like to ask for a request. The Mega Egg Hunt has been going on now. This will be our 18th year at the fairgrounds. We have about 3,500 people there and about 200 volunteers. And we have a coloring contest that we've been distributing to all the schools, and I'll pass this around so you can see what it is. We passed 6,000 copies to all the schools in Columbia County from ages 0 to 12 is what we're trying to locate and get the word out to them. We offer 15 prizes, cash prizes, to each age group will be 3 each, and we have 5 age groups. And our problem is the city of the St. Helens School District no longer allows flyers in their school at all. And so we are trying to look outside the box to figure out how we can distribute these flyers to the St. Helens kids to make sure that they also get in on the contest that we're offering to them. Our request would be is if you could possibly see a way to get this inserted in your water bills, and I'm not sure if that's possible or not, but we thought it was worth a try. And I did talk to Crystal, and she said she would put it in the newsletter, but we're just trying everything we can to get the information out to the kids in St. Helens. I also have some information that you might be interested in seeing, and it's about our facts of our event. We are a nonprofit organization. We fall under the nonprofit of the Warren Community Foundation. It's not the church, but it's the foundation. And so we are, whenever anyone donates to this nonprofit, they do have a tax deduction for that, I think, unless the government's changed that. But if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer that for you.
Yes, I have a couple.
Sure.
Who did you talk to at the school district?
I went to the school district office.
To the
because,
office?
Yes,
okay.
because we have to get their approval of the flyers prior to distributing them, and we were
Right.
doing them up until last year was the first year they said, no, we can no longer do that.
Okay, because I know for some things they do have a distribution method.
Yes, and the problem is that their distribution method is texting it or emailing it to all of their parents. Well, I have a granddaughter that has 2 kids, which are my great-grandkids, that are in the St. Helens School District. She does not have a printer at home, so there's no way to print off these flyers. And I know of several other parents that have said the same thing. They do not have printers at home, so it doesn't do any good to get it electronically.
I have a possible solution. The library has printers.
Yes,
And we would also be happy to carry your flyers for you.
Okay. You mean at City Hall?
No,
Or-
at the library.
I've already talked to Margaret.
Okay.
And we have about 6 other locations in St. Helens of the business people that we are giving our flyers to, and we'll see that they have a good supply. Safeway's another one that has the long hours and every day, and I think there's 12 if I remember right, that are going to have the flyers in their business locations.
Okay, and for people who don't have computers or printers at home, the library does have public computers and printers.
Okay, I'm getting ready to do a news release and for the papers, and I'll make sure that I include that. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Yeah.
So if the city were to do some social media boosts, we'd want to know those locations. If
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We have pretty good reach of
Yeah.
Okay.
the boost.
Yes. I was trying to critique it, and I have one person that I kind of got a maybe, and I want to get it firm before I start putting anything out there to the media.
Sometimes our booths have been almost too big, so.
Well, you guys do a great job. Thank you.
So IGA will be one that would have these again.
Pardon me?
IGA, Red Apple, formerly Red Apple.
Okay, I will contact them and see if they will.
Yeah,
I think they normally do always have your stuff there. I don't know who did it. Did you do it last year, Evelyn?
Yeah, we didn't hit IGA, but we have a poster that we put in their windows. We plaster posters all over.
I know the
town.
IGA will distribute, the arcade will distribute, and the theater are all partners that have all worked
Okay.
on everything, everything that's family friendly, everything that's for kids.
Great. They are sponsors.
It's just if I recall, our water bill's outsourced, and I think that would be kind of cumbersome to try to get it done
Okay.
that way.
Okay, we'd be willing to make the copies because our copies that we make for all the schools are done for us for free. Again, we have volunteers and everything we get. I'm working at trying to make it free, but that's
So maybe a question for Matt, if the stuffer was an option, how does that
Go.
with the billing cycle? You're probably thinking about that, but.
I am looking at the contract right now. As long as I believe I remember reading when I first read the contract, that as long as it didn't change the postage and we provided the paper and copies, then I think there's no cost. But I'm not 100% sure. I need to reread the
I recall
contract
it.
and make sure. So
I recall a nominal fee, but
okay,
just
yeah,
the timing of the, being that it's February, March.
it would be, and the bills are being formulated as we speak. So they will be sent to Metro Presort here either today or tomorrow at the very latest.
Oh, wow.
So
for
the-
next
I
billing,
can get
so.
you copies today or tomorrow if
The-
that is
The
permitted.
only
But the
thing
weight of the paper might change the charge.
it's probably
what's the
way
charge
more
based on?
people because there's no way to delineate water customers, businesses from private homes, people that want this coming in their bill and people that don't want it coming in their bill. I mean, because how do you separate who it should go to? Because I don't know what the count is. There's a lot more water customers than there are students in our town, I would have guessed. I mean, how many people? I mean,
It's about 4,600 accounts that we have. I would assume most of those are on a mailing billing as well as.
so it was
And
just
some of those would be grandparents, which would
right.
help
I just
too.
want to make sure we realize we're talking over
Okay.
4,000
Okay,
bills.
okay.
That's a lot. That's more than just I don't know. You said you had
We have
3,000
7,000 printed right now.
Right.
And all I have to do is count them out and get them to you if that's permissible.
Do you have a card you can leave with us?
Absolutely.
Okay. We can look at the possibility. You might have timed it just right, maybe. If it's no cost and you can get 4,000 copies to us, we'll check into it.
Okay.
Matt, is distribution then based on weight? As far as mailing costs?
I'm gonna hold my comment until I read the contract.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm 100%.
Because we've actually put other things in the water bill on occasion. Is that correct?
Not
Oh, yours
since I've
doesn't?
been here. No.
Okay.
I know we've had a
Usually printed
discussion.
on the bill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had a very brief
But no
discussion earlier in council meetings about allowing businesses to use it on a nominal fee kind of program to advertise and do stuff like this. We've never had an actual discussion or agreement of what we would or wouldn't do.
Well, we're willing to help you out one way or another.
Thank you.
However we can help. So we'll take that. I'll take that card from you,
Okay.
and then we'll definitely be in contact. Why don't you give me two? Yep. All right.
Thank you very much. I
Yep.
appreciate your time.
Thank you, Evelyn. Okay. Other visitor comments.
That's for Kathy.
Hello. Let me give you my samples. And there's two pieces of paper. So I'll grab one from the bottom, one from the top. My name is Joan Youngberg, and I am with a project called This Is Us St. Helens. It has been taken on by the Columbia Art Guild. I've already been in front of the Arts and Cultural Commission with this, and I just, in understanding the process, I hear that it comes to you guys next. Once they vote on it. They actually haven't voted on it. I believe, I've been told they'll vote on it at their next meeting. I've had the, if you don't understand what This Is Us St. Helens is, if I haven't run into you and told you about it, because everybody that I run into these days hears about it, it is a community art project that is truly community, where I am trying to get as many people as possible to build a house like I'm sending around, to paint a house like that, and hand them back to me. And then our hope is to put them together in one final piece and display them. The reason that I am here is I understand that you would be the ones to make the final vote, and it would take some doing with the city to get it into the plaza if our dream wants to come true. When it's erected, it will be one piece of, the vision now is kind of a very gradual steps up in a circular fashion. Our goal is 5,000 houses. It's going to be something awesome. My belief has always been a lot of anything is always amazing. And I think this would be amazing. I have already hosted probably a dozen events. Council Ginny, Susan, Terry Moss, Doug, they've all painted houses for me already. I have an event tomorrow night at Starbucks, which is an open event. I have what I call private events, where is if the city wanted to do it, I would come to you and we'd do it, like I did for the fire department. But I'm also hosting public events where if anybody wants to come to Starbucks, or anybody wants to come to Running Dog, or anybody wants to come to working with the senior center, they would be open to anybody in the community. Then anybody could come and make a house. And I'm just here in case you guys have any questions. Just kind of, you know what? I just want to get this part over with it so that I can start collecting more houses. And it's going to happen whether or not, I don't say that, it's going to happen one way or another. I'm going to make sure it happens. But I really, the more buy-in we get, the better it is. And I really think it's a worthwhile project. So many good, positive things from people. We need positive in the community. We need reinforced that everybody has room in this community. And I think that this piece of work would do that.
It's very interesting.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm very excited about it. And
Thank you.
I was a little nervous because I don't have artistic talent, but apparently with a little house, anybody can be an artist.
Yes, the guy that did the
Believe.
the one of the Believe with the Sasquatch, he was about 22 years old. He comes into Running Dog with his mom on the first night. I don't know, I can't do this. And I showed him what a little 6-year-old girl did, and she just painted one color and one the other color. I said, she's done. That's all you got to do. Mm-hmm. And he's over there with his mom, and he comes up and he gives me that, and I just cracked up. It was like, you said you couldn't do that, and now you've got the highlight of the night. So and I encourage everybody. We are going to be doing it with community meals. So not everybody has a house. You do whatever represents you in the community. I make very few boundaries on what it needs to be.
The middle school was super excited. You did the one with the art class, and now
We-
they're going to take it into their lunchroom.
Yeah, we were at the middle school art group or art club after school last week. The principal stopped by, the vice principal stopped by, the art teacher stopped by, and they said, we got to make a way for everybody to be able to do this, and we are currently working on that.
Yeah, the school couldn't have been more excited.
Yeah, it was, and the kids couldn't have been more excited. They, and I think it has a lot to teach them about community and about community art. What is that? What's community art? It might, get them an early understanding of what that might look like.
thank you for promoting community connectedness.
Yes, that is really what it is.
So,
Community art and yes.
I want to be the last one to sign up, so please get me one before Rick speaks up here.
Oh, last one to sign up. Yes, I've been working with. Yeah, I've been working with a couple of people to have a group for you guys, just you guys. But you might just see me in the community, and
But
because
I wanna-
I'm pretty much.
I asked Joan to come because I wanted to make sure whatever the steps there are for her to do this, other groups have had a kind of a bumpy process, and we want to make sure that she knows what do we do next, so then she can cross those T's, dot those I's, and she knows she's set for an installation at a certain date at a certain time. So she can move on with making the art meaningful in our community and spend less time going to repetitive meetings waiting for an approval.
Yeah, I'd rather we all painted houses right now than I sit here and babble at you about what I think is important or what the Columbia Art Guild's vision is for this project. And it's pretty low cost. I mean, I threw that budget out there, and I'm not even worried where the money's going to come from. I'm going to figure it out. One way or another. So far, I've spent $10 on this project because I had to buy some more paintbrushes. So. My husband said to me, 5,000 houses. I said, yes, 5,000 houses. If you tell me I can't do it, then I will do it. He said, I don't know. I don't think you can do it. And I said, oh, man, now I got it. So,
If it would have been 5,000 cookies, you would have went for it.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. And there's a few boundaries. I will only go into St. Helens proper, or what you would consider the St. Helens community. I've had a few, people in Scappoose say, will you come to us? No, I don't, I can't, I got to keep it within certain, but you know what? You are welcome to come to St. Helens to paint a house at any of our events. I'm not the housing police. I'm not going to say you can't paint a house. If you are in our community, you are part of our community, paint a house. That's my answer to that. So.
But the installation will be here.
The installation will be here.
Okay.
Yes,
Can you-
is my hope.
Can you speak to that? I'm
Yeah.
reading what you're talking about here, and it sounds like a great project. But the display being during the month of October in the plaza, which
you know what
a high
we
traffic
we have
location.
already
and it
we have
might be great. But I just want to know what you were visioning. that-
well I sat down with Jen Farrington, who is the Arts and Cultural Commission chair, and she didn't really like that part of it. I said there's lots of things that are flexible in this, but there are a few things that are not. And when it goes, yeah, I don't care. But I believe the sooner the better. I am collecting houses through the end of July. I think by the end of the year would be a good idea. We threw around maybe a Christmas time thing instead of competing with the big pumpkin, great pumpkin, which is fine. I'm all over it. If that's what works, that's what works. I just want it out there sometime because I think it will be great when everybody's down there trying to find their house.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like it's like a storefront window, or is it an outdoor thing? Or
It's an outdoor thing.
Okay.
It's everybody says, oh, is it going to stand up to the weather? And I said, I plan on putting this together and then spraying the heck out of it with Varathane, and I think it will last 6 weeks. I really, I know about Tarvex, and I think I can make it work. I mean, I have never done anything like this before, but I've done outdoor art before, so I think I know what will stay together, what will be good for a certain amount of weeks.
I talked about, she mentioned the plaza, but I know that we have a lot of props committed to that area for like the whole season. But we talked about under the gazebo, we talked about other options to be real flexible about where and making it work with the group, because we got a lot of real estate. I'm sure we can find some place for community art.
That's what I was just wondering about the month of November, if that would be the best.
Yeah.
We were
best
thinking
would.
like the 15th of November and leave it up. That way
'Cause
it's like.
It could be in the plaza without interfering with anything.
Right, but
November.
where she was talking about is where Santa sits.
Well, in
Well, you know
November,
what?
that's
I
okay.
don't care. I'm not going to kick Santa out.
So
I mean, there's time to work on it. She doesn't have to decide the second.
I think
Yeah,
Halloween Town's usually like a week and a half out of October, after October that it's finally all gone. Is that
Right.
correct, Neil?
November 8th.
Public
is
Works?
gone.
Disassemble, not tear down.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm more than willing to work within the confines of whatever is going on, but I do think that it will bring people down to the plaza. They're going to want to see their house.
I'd love to
And-
see it as a permanent installation someplace.
Yeah, well, let's see what that has, and it will be
Maybe indoor.
dismantleable. We will be able to dismantle it and we will be able to put it back together again. So it isn't a one and done. It will be able to put, if there is some place that we want to house it.
Sure.
Or want, even parts of it, so that will be, but it will be something that you could walk around. It will be circular, is how I see it, and it will not be more than, I'm only 5'2", so about 6 feet tall, so that you could see the whole scale. You could walk around it, and they're not hiding your house in, way up there where I can't see it, or way, underneath or something.
What would the diameter be, do you guess? I know it's a guess.
Well, if you put that size house, this brought home the scale of this. If you put those houses on a piece of plywood, standard piece of plywood, it would take about 500 houses to fill up one standard piece. So you're talking 10 standard pieces of plywood. Okay. That's not what it's going to look like. It's not going to look like that, but that gives you an idea of the size of it. It's not, yeah.
Thank you. I need those visuals.
Yeah, I did too. It really brought it home.
I think I would.
Yeah. 8 sheets of plywood.
I see the intent is really similar to that.
I think it's a great idea of bringing community together. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Okay,
I'm
so
sure you do it right.
I
so.
just wanted to be able to sit in front of you with what I had to say, and so when you see it come your way to vote, you'll be able to
know what it is.
know what it is, because it is it's nothing anybody's seen before, so.
Thank you
Yeah.
for coming down.
And there is a website. We even have a hashtag. So, yeah.
I didn't know that. I'll have to use it.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, other visitor comments?
Al Peterson, 101 St. Helens Street. I just want to show you two things. One of the things is something that I did for a client at the end of 2014, 2015, and the other relates to an email I sent you all on Friday. The thing that I did for a client in 2015, I sort of relates to what I sent you on Friday, because in the broad, big picture, I'm always trying to figure out what can be done to help St. Helens develop, and since I was on the Planning Commission until just recently, how St. Helens can contribute to that. And one of the things that I made a presentation to you before has to do with this first document, but I want to kind of tell you the story behind this first document. I received a call in December of 2014 from someone who asked us as architects to take a look at a piece of property. This person was from Seattle, owned a hotel, or a motel, I believe. I never saw the motel, but a motel, let's say, in the Seattle area, and had on his own decided that St. Helens needed another hotel, motel. So he said to me, I found a piece of property in your town. I want you to tell me quickly whether or not I can fit a 20-room hotel on this piece of property, and I want you to tell me any issues that there may be. So we got the property, we took a look at it. There was a sewer line next to the property. The water line was about 300 feet away. So he would have to extend the city water line, power available, plenty of access. All the other things that he needed were readily available or at the property line. So then we looked at the city ordinances, figured out the setbacks, figured out the landscaping, figured out the parking, figured out how much area would be taken up by all the miscellaneous things, and then we worked out a 20-room hotel design. And so we came up with what we told the client, look, we can probably, based on our quick analysis, you can probably get between a 20 and 24-room hotel. So he said, oh, well, that's great. And I said to him, so you think you can build it and you have a budget and things like that? And he said, yeah, and I'm planning on probably making an offer or purchasing this property. So I said to him, are you aware, and you know, he's a small businessman, he's not a big hotel owner or anything like that, but are you aware of system development charges? And he said, no. What are those? And I said, well, and this was my telephone conversation with him, I said, well, I explained to him what they were for. And I said, just guessing off the top of my head, based on my experience, you're probably looking at over $100,000. And he about choked. And I said, but I can work up the numbers for you based on your 20-room target, and I can give you the numbers. He said, okay. So I sat down, and my estimate was low. So this is what I sent him after I worked it out. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you a copy.
And this was 2014, 15?
This was 2014, 2015, and those were based on the 2014 rates as I remember it.
Right.
So as you can see on there, when it comes around, the system development charges were $139,000. So the deal fell through, and he went back to Seattle. So I have said this before to you. These charges are not helpful for small business owners who are trying to do something. Yep. And they specifically, I know for a fact, they made this deal fall through. They contributed. I can't say that they are the cause, obviously, but they contributed to it. Now, I've also made presentations before on how the city can use these, and my recommendation before was to institute lower system development charges in those areas of town that you would like to see developed. And I made the presentation before that they should be lowered in the areas of town where you have the Main Street program, which is downtown and uptown. And they will help contribute to small businesses being able to expand or build new buildings or whatever. It's a way in which the city can focus the benefits or help small businesses thrive. So that is what I wanted to show you. Now, the reason I did not come to you in 2015 is because I did not want to be perceived as being a gun for a client. So I just left it in my file, and up until last week, when I thought about it again, when I sent you an email, I decided to bring it to you today. So that's still my recommendation that I made before. You should really look at these and try to figure out how you can figure out ways that you can provide incentives for development in those places where you want development to occur. So now, how does that relate to my email to you on Friday? Well, this is a city document. It's 2 pages of a document that Eco Northwest produced that you guys paid good money to have produced. You have in your packet a proposal to rent a building to someone for $315 per month for a building that is 5,780 square feet. This document points out rental rates in the city and in the county. Now, I haven't tried to figure out the rental rate that is in your proposal, but the rental rates of industrial and commercial properties in 2015 were, at the low end, 63 cents per square foot, and at the mid-range were $1.05 per square foot, according to your own documents. And industrial buildings if we were to class it as an industrial building, which I don't think it is. But since it's sort of industrial property, I also have the page on industrial properties. And the page on industrial properties has, at the low end, 50 cents per square foot per month. And at the high end, in 2015, 60.6 cents per square foot per month. And that's for large, very large industrial buildings. So that works out on the commercial at the low end,
$2,500.
$3,641 per month at the low end for a commercial property for a building that is, what did I say? 5,780 square feet. And at the high end, or actually that's not the high end because these are averages. So at the average, kind of at the upper end, is $6,070 per month. If it was an industrial property, it would be $2,900 per month at the low end, and at the upper end, it would be $3,800 per month. So, what is the city doing? Is the city, subsidizing large industrial clients? Is that what I'm hearing, or that's what seems to be the case? I don't know. But I'm asking that question, and is that kind of how the city is thinking? Again, I don't know, but I think
I can speak for myself alone.
I don't want to hear. I think you guys need to have a.
No, you're gonna hear because I'm sitting here for 2 years. This lease is just now up on renewal.
Okay, well,
we're getting ready
anyway,
to discuss this.
Yeah, this is on for discussion today.
Well, I figured that. I wasn't sure based on the emails, but this proposal, which is in your packet, was shocking to me, to say the least, and is clearly not getting what the city should be getting for the building. There's a private gym in the building. Not only is there, weight machines and all the other miscellaneous. I didn't even know, but there's. I talked to someone who used to work at Boise, and he's like, "Oh yeah, they got all the weight machines, and then that taller part of the building, there's a private gym in there." So what are you guys doing?
Yeah, we don't own that equipment. Actually, Farrah does.
Well, anyway.
But you're right.
Talking
No,
about the building.
but you're right. The building itself. Yes, and
I'd like to talk about when we get to the agenda item about the history of how we got to this, what's in the packet today. And a lot of your concerns are very legitimate.
yes, thank you, Al.
Sure thing.
Yep. Okay, any other visitor comments? Okay, so we have Employee Length of Service Award for Brett Long, who has been working for the city for 25 years. He's not able to make it here today, but that's a huge accomplishment. Just a handful of guys that can say that are still working for the city. So congratulations to Brett. Okay, discuss court contracts, judge and prosecutor. Matt.
So we put this on the agenda today. We reevaluated the court process this past year and decided to go out for an RFP last year around this time or so, and came to a new prosecutor and a same judge as the previous years. And we put them on 90-day contracts that essentially lasted through a year, which is the end of June this year. So in that contract is a 90-day clause that we have to let them know if we want to continue their services or if we're going to go out for an RFP. So both of those contracts, that 90-day notice is essentially March 1st, which is why it's on the agenda today to discuss if the City Council wants me to come back to you with contracts with the current staff or the current contractors, or if you would like to go out for RFPs for the prosecutor or judge services.
Surprise, I have an opinion about that. And as far as the prosecutor, there have been a lot of changes made, and I'm interested in seeing where this goes. So I would like to extend his contract if it were up to me, but not for a year, for a shorter period of time. More like
With like 6 months or
6
like
months.
6 months,
6 months
kind
would
of
be good.
rolling review kind of
Yeah,
thing for another year.
what we've been doing, but
Okay,
for a 6-month term.
for the prosecutor.
For the
Okay.
prosecutor. And for the judge, I would like to see us go out for an RFP. I mean, we only had one person apply last time, and I'd like to see if there's a larger field out there.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. I'd like to. How is it working out going on that the hourly? Are we? Is it
On the
something
hourly,
working out?
it's been very well. I mean, you're paying for exactly the time that they work.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of leeway as far as paying a judge a salary or something when she's only here for a couple minutes of the day or a couple hours of the day. So paying them hourly has definitely worked as a benefit. I will just remind you that the judge and prosecutor are we got them kind of on the lower end based on some of the RFPs that we received. So when we receive RFPs or come back with a new contract, there may be a little bit of inflation based on
Sure.
what those current costs are, but we can address that when the contracts come up.
I have a question. Just something that bothers me a little bit, and I just don't know if it's normal, to keep somebody of that skill level on such a temporary basis, with no, like, unendingly.
Sure.
I mean, I understand we're in the process, but I don't know if I was an attorney or a judge that did all the training for that, how I'd feel about working for a place that kept me on the string that short a time. When we're doing transition, it seemed like it made sense, but it's like, how long are we willing to do this to keep somebody just on a short leash like that? Most people want more stability with their employment than, we wouldn't ask
And
people to do that. And is that normal in city to do that?
in response to that, I would say it depends on the situation, really. When we were looking at contracts last year, I think it was very prudent for us to do a similar contracts to 90 days
Right,
kind of
it made
rolling.
sense.
Yeah.
We gave them a guaranteed 6 months, but then we were going to reevaluate in January, and we're kind of moving forward on that second half. Normally in contracts with just my personal experience, it's usually yearly contracts or 2 or 3 years and then an additional 2-year extension or something, based on an agreement. That's normally what I see. The judge and prosecutor did mention that they did not want to do another 90-day contract because of that specific issue of the unknown.
Well, and it's not
so-
just the prosecutor and the judge, it's the staff.
Correct.
Because when you have everybody on a 90 days thing, it creates an anxiety in the workplace that is not preferable. If it can be avoided, if it makes sense to do it, then of course we would do that, but it's not ideal.
I don't think it makes sense indefinitely, but this would only be the second time that we were doing that. And we've seen some progress, and I think part of that is due to the shorter amount of time. I would like to do it at least once more and just see where we're going with it. Because there are other things that are changing.
Correct, and we are still making changes, so
Yeah.
we're still in that process.
I'm kind of on the side of Councilor Carlson as far as I would like a year. I mean, it just says a lot about us. They've given us enough proof so far to prove they're worthy of a year contract, in my opinion. And I would hope to think that you would be continuing to watch anyhow and would notify us if the wheels started falling off.
Correct, and you will still see those monthly and quarterly reports like you wanted. So you will still continue to see those.
I guess I'm kind of half with Susan. I think it warrants, if we only had one person last time we looked at the judge, maybe it warrants another RFP. But I would think that we should, at this point, the prosecutor has made a lot of changes, has really, from what I'm hearing in the community, really kind of reinvented the court, the way he's doing stuff. And we should, in our own good faith effort, give him a year.
Well, I think there have been a lot of changes financially, but I think there are a lot of other changes that are being made.
I think
are
Susan,
more procedural.
Susan, I think in our benefit too, if we wanted to put that RFP for the judge,
Mm-hmm.
and we said it was going to be a year contract, we might get more than just one.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't talking about the RFP. I was talking about the prosecutor.
Sure. So I'm talking about
But
the whole.
yes,
kind
as
of
far as the
package.
judge, I agree.
Yes, the whole kind of package of a
RFP.
year contract. I don't, I mean, listening to Jenny, and
People aren't gonna just hop jobs. People that do that are more stable people, I would think. They're not job hoppers. It's just my input. And I want somebody that's gonna be vested in our community and
Definitely.
not just looking at temporary, and 90 days is temporary.
Keith, you got any discussion on this?
6 months isn't 90 days, though.
Yes, yeah, it
I
is.
was falling between the two.
I kind of like the 6-month idea, but for their sake, I'd be willing to go with a year with quarterly reviews, see how we're doing.
I mean, I wouldn't apply for a job that was 6 months. I wouldn't. It wouldn't be worth the turmoil in my life to apply for a job that was that term limited. I'd stay where I was or look for something with a longer term.
Have you had feedback from the prosecutor on this?
He definitely was not a fan of the 90-day contracts. This is kind of his first delve into
Being a prosecutor.
not being a prosecutor, being a prosecutor,
He
but
was a
also
defense attorney, but-
being a consultant and working for the city in that kind of framework. So he understood the 90-day clauses in the first contract because he knew we were going through the process. He knew he was coming in with that consultant's mindset of things need to change and need to reprocess pretty much everything. So he understood that. I think he's made a lot of changes, but he also has a lot of progress and work still to do. Working with the court and the police department and kind of the community as well. So I can see both sides of the 6 months and 1 year as well. I can go either way, just at your whims of a consensus, which
No help.
doesn't look like we have.
Regardless of the term length, there's still a mutual agreement for termination
Correct.
Either way.
language in there.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you can back.
Yeah,
it up.
usually it's 60 days or at least 30 days, but with a prosecutor or judge, I would assume it would be 60 or even 90 just because of the time it takes to get somebody in. So there still would be that 60 or 90-day clause, whether it's 6 months or a year.
Are we in agreement on the RFP to see if we can pull in more candidates?
I think that's a good idea if we only had, we want to have a good pool, even if it's staying the course. We want to know that we've made the right choice.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
And, to your point, if there's always the clause to terminate the contract, we might get more applicants with a longer contract period. What do you think, Keith?
I'm okay with it.
Which?
Going out for RFP is fine.
Long as progress continues,
Yep, as long as progress.
I'm okay. But I want to know progress continues.
Okay.
Correct. So we'll continue the quarterly and monthly reports as usual, and I'll come back hopefully next meeting or next month with a new contract for the prosecutor, and then we'll start the process as soon as possible for the judge services.
Okay, and as far as the reports, I want to hear more than just about the financial piece.
Correct. Yeah, we just kind of started on the other
That
part,
was- yeah,
other
okay.
part of that. So
Okay.
you'll start to hear more about what we're doing with the county and
Good.
with all
Community
the kind of
impact
community
kind of stuff.
services. So, yep.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Discussion lease for Farah Building lot. So when did this lease get drawn up? With the purchase of the mill?
So,
Property?
no.
No.
Well, let me just.
Okay.
if I-
How about some history, John?
Yes, I would like a little
This is
history.
something that, as the city acquired the Boise property, the 205-acre industrial site, there was an existing mill operations on there, and there's also 2 other tenants leasing. And then one of them was the Softball Association for $10 a year, and then Farah was the other one, Fitness and FARA, and some of you may know the history of FARA better than I, but it was something that Boise and later Cascades paid for as a benefit for their employees. Sounds good, no worries to that until it transfers over to the city, which we have this, a lot of that property down there becomes either this question of taxation, and there's multiple parcels down there. It's either accessible or non-accessible, and it's accessible if it's in productive use, like Cascades is. It's the assessor kept the ball fields non-accessible, so that hasn't been a discussion, thankfully. The FARA property was accessible, and it sat on a property a lot larger than it was. It was about a 20-acre property. Piece of that was assessed as accessible, so we got a bill for the property taxes for that property the first year after we acquired it. I went to Cascades and had a conversation about, are you going to continue to do this, pay for FARA to property taxes? Because the city in Conchas can't do that. We shouldn't have to pay for a private business to be, make use of private property, of public property. So we went through an exercise and we created a tax lot, worked with the county assessor and a surveyor, and we created a legal description and defined a boundary that was much smaller, and created a tax lot that was more representative of the property that they were using. And then in turn went back to Cascades and said, are you going to pay this again? And the former mill manager made a verbal agreement to pay it. Since then they've had some transitions at the mill, and they decided not to support FARA. So we're not going to do that. So we went to FARA, which is really a pretty small organization, really. It's a person or two, and asked them to pay their property taxes, and they got the same kind of conversation, and the building off the lease that we inherited, which said pretty much nothing about the expenses and the taxes and who does what with the building, tried to construct a lease that at a very minimum recovered our costs. And this, is an attempt to be kind of a triple net kind of thing, where they pay their utilities, the taxes, and insurance, and that the insurance and the number that Mr. Peterson presented there represents the taxes and insurance component of that. Doesn't really do anything for the building repairs and maintenance. They're responsible for the minor things. Major would be the city. And in the same conversation, we're trying to get this up to a place where it's at least on a par with the expense that it costs, is the other development interest in that property. We've had developers coming to us with conceptual proposals that are pretty grand in scale, and do we want to go into a long-term lease with FARA to be there? Even the city's talks about conversations about having an RV park there, and that building somehow being co-located or somehow beneficially used with that, kind of inspired this base lease and minimum term. So recognizing that FARA's requested that they be there. They own all the equipment inside, so we're just talking about the building. And
What's their business form? What are they? They're not a nonprofit.
They are a nonprofit.
They are a nonprofit?
They're back again, and they're reestablished as a nonprofit. That was another wrinkle with this, is that they had fallen out of good graces, and they're back legitimate again.
So why are they entitled to lower rent than another gym? We have several gyms in town.
So there has been no valuation of the business rent with this. I guess that's the conversation I brought it to that's why we're talking about it today.
I mean, if they were, because a lot of people don't realize that anybody could pay the monthly. You don't have to belong to anything. You can go over there and pay and belong to there. You don't have to be a Boise employee to do that at this point. And they don't market it. So it is a low-cost health club for the community, but most people still believe that it's just Boise. But I don't think it should be, I don't think they should have rent different than anybody else.
No, I don't either.
I think.
And they're not that much lower than the other gyms.
Yeah, so.
Well, it's different than the other buildings we have, the senior center.
That are fully open.
Fully open to the public. The Alano Club has a niche that the city owns the building, and their rent's somewhat lower than what a market rate might be for some finding of public benefit. It's different. This is different.
I guess just part of it is when we did this, we didn't know what we just purchased the property and we just didn't want to throw them out in the street. So we said we were going to give them this 1 or 2 year lease, and then we were going to talk about it, which is where we're at today.
Right.
And so I'm not sure, I am not real familiar. I know they used to have the Cascades people got a discount in the general public, and we asked them at the time if our employees would have that same discount, and they said yes at the time. Now, I've never followed up on that to see where all that's went, but that was sort of the original arrangement when we did this, and it was a short-term arrangement. So now we're at the point where, okay, we have some other things that we want to do with that property, so let's talk about it and
Right.
see what we want to do with them. But it's still a matter of, like, say, originally it was Cascades and they were backing it, and I guess now they're not, so.
Well, I feel that with this property, we represent the public. This is their property. And I think that if we're going to lease it short term, it should be at market rate. And, or have a reason why not. And the 1 year to terminate disturbs me too. That's a long time in the scheme of things. If we get an offer on the property and somebody has an idea, then we have to put them off for a year before they can do anything.
Would sometimes with, obviously if they've been there a long time and we're just new owners, is there a process to have like more of a stepped out process? Like, this is the way you've been operating, and now for the next 6 months, it's gonna go up this percent, and next 6 months, it's gonna go up this percent. So then they can make the decision whether they wanna continue, or they move on their own, or they cease to exist on their own, rather than it's $300 this month and it's $3,500 next month.
I don't disagree with you at all, but I think the first thing we need to do is determine the market rate.
Well, their business model is very cheap. I know because I don't personally go there, but my wife and kids do, and it's $40 a month for all three of them.
Yeah, it's cheap. It's
Yeah.
way cheaper than any other
It
place.
is a full size gym, and there's a lot of workout equipment. I would have to agree that seems very cheap for the amount of square footage that we're allowing them to use in our building, and they have to do the minor repairs, but we do the major. And I know that we were up there fixing an air conditioning unit this last summer, and it seems like we have to. I'm hoping they have the ability to accept that we have to do something. That's too cheap.
I'm reluctant to hobble our future.
It's too
something
cheap
else.
to be unending.
Yep.
It needs to be temporary. It needs to be temporary, moving towards something else.
Mm-hmm.
One of the positives and is that it stays on the tax rolls. So at least there's a few $1,000s in taxes coming in. But, otherwise, if they went out, nobody came in, it would revert back to a non-assessable and go off the tax rolls.
Why require a year's notice?
Probably the size of development, scale of the developments that have had an interest in that would probably be that much of a lead time.
No, but why are we offering that to them? Not from the development perspective, but as a landlord, why are we offering
Well,
it?
from that development's perspective, is out anything that comes through the door is probably not going to be permit ready within a year of the kind of scale that the proposals we've seen. So
But if we had something that could move more quickly, we wouldn't be able to.
it could be less. I mean, they want more. They wanted more than a year. They're asking for 2. They said no. One was more in line with if anything happened. But it could be less.
So could we determine what the market rate would be, with the
What
comparable
they actually have.
comparable rate would be for what they have? And I'm not opposed to stepping it, but I would like
It
to
needs
have
do
a,
more than cover costs.
I'm going
Yes.
to throw something else out there just because I know about it and you guys don't know about it. It's probably going to get me in trouble, but that's who I am. So we pay
That's
a
true.
stipend to our employees to
Oh,
go to
right.
fitness clubs.
Yeah.
And now we own a fitness club. So,
We own the club, but not the equipment.
right. So there's other options that are available to us. Just throwing that out there.
Maybe we'd need to check with the employees to see if they were even interested in that.
Well, I'm sure
There are other
I'm sure
amenities.
we do need to check, but like I
Yeah.
say, I mean, do you get
It's an
everything you
option.
want?
It's an option.
Everything's an option.
No, no,
And
I'm
my
not.
point is, I want to examine all of
I'm
that.
not afraid to be a bad guy in this situation because obviously the building is worth a lot more than what we're getting right now. And I know Fair's been there forever. I know Boise employees that still probably go there and work out. And it's not about that. It's about we have to be accountable to
Our citizens.
Our citizens. Yep.
Well,
I mean, for $315, we can make it a kids' youth center
Right.
at 350. I'd almost be willing to take that out of our council funds, Matt, to pay that.
Well, it's not really. There's the property tax.
Well, I
piece
understand
plus the
the light bills and all
represents
that. Yeah.
The insurance, that represents the insurance piece of it.
I mean, if we're gonna say mean things or be completely honest,
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking about
Let's-
that property.
let's do that.
Yes.
It's St. Helens Industrial Park. It's not Cascade Industrial Park.
Yes.
And as long as that building, as long as we continue doing building with what business with something that's perceived as a private club for Cascade, it's like they need to pay the going rate.
Yeah.
Or it needs to be something that bears the name of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like if we're in business and we're subsidizing it, then it needs to look like it's public, not like it's private. Because right now, most people believe we're subsidizing a private health club, and I don't know anybody that would support that.
Well, we are through low rent.
Yeah, nobody. I mean, I want to have.
Who
my
are the
demo-
Who are the board members of Farah? I'd like to meet with them. I'd like to have them in here on our next agenda. I don't feel comfortable, and I'd like to
we need
see
to
what
have
their
more
expectations are.
conversation.
Has anybody had any talks with them personally?
Had one meeting with them.
Yeah. I mean, we
There's two, right?
two members. Because it's a good point. I mean, a health club, even in an industrial park, could go a long ways if it was city owned, managed, or whatever, or FARA, and it was or FARA, like I said.
Public-private partnership.
Yeah, public private, and it benefited all the new businesses that came in down there, and but the rent is extremely. I mean, almost a tenth of what the lowest Al's recommended on there was 2,700 or something like that. Yeah, the lowest. Yeah. So, and that's another thing. Maybe we should have it assessed
separately.
and,
Yeah.
and see what
Standing with Cascade.
what the numbers are right now.
Right.
You know. I always, I'm kind of a dreamer. I always thought that'd be a cool place for a restaurant and
Maybe.
Build a fence, put some arborvitae along the Old Portland Road, block off that noise, raise some baby ducks in the pond, and have tiki torches going out there. Nice patio.
And RV.
Hey, Peyton, I got a vision.
And the RV park.
And RV park, yes,
So people could enjoy that.
that's right.
Yeah, kind of more of a clubhouse kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it sounds like more conversation.
I don't. So I want to. Yeah, I want to definitely. They're welcome to come here, but I would like to have a little more. We definitely can't do that, right?
Well, yeah, before we have them here, I think that we should investigate what
What it's worth.
it's worth.
Well, we kind of have that because 2015 it hasn't went down. It has not went down.
But did they make
No.
it a lot smaller?
Well,
We need, I want current.
Yeah.
They are a nonprofit, and we do have other arrangements with other nonprofits. So
Yes.
it isn't like a real business. But saying that, though, I would say that, first of all, I mean, Doug isn't here today, so there's another discussion on it. But I think we need to have them over here and have a discussion with them, find out what their plan is, and then start talking about what we're gonna do.
I agree, but I want to be armed with the statistics first.
Well, and that's
Current.
that's what I'd like to know though too, because I know a lot of their equipment it was bought back in the '80s, and some of it's outdated, some of it's upgraded.
Well, and that
but
value
not,
has
but not a lot of it.
nothing for us. I mean,
But-
that's not.
No, absolutely has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
But is this something they're just trying to drag out? Is it something that they're thinking long term? If they're not long term, then why are we holding back? If it's not long term, why aren't we getting the most we can for that building?
Well, and that's why we're
Yeah.
talking about it, and I didn't realize that Cascades wasn't subsidizing them anymore, so.
So these are questions I'd like to ask them
Yeah,
personally.
exactly, yeah, we need to know all those things,
Yes.
so. Like I say,
So-
bring them in here 2 weeks from now and
Yeah.
whenever our next meeting is.
Let's put it on for the next work session. Let's strike it off the evening for. Is it already okay? And then
So can we get an evaluation first of cost?
we should be able
value?
to. We should be able to do that. Yes. And Matt, you could probably, or John could probably get us a rough number, at least a close.
I'm just thinking how to frame it. I mean, not all businesses are the same, but we can work on a, sure.
Sure.
Comparable businesses.
Yes. Nonprofit type situation, keeping in mind that it's it does benefit. A lot of people don't know it's open to the
Yeah, but
public. It is open to
Nonprofits
the
pay
public.
rent too,
Yes. Yep. So okay.
so other fitness places.
So, all right, we're going to move on here. Review draft community recognition award from Kathy.
So, as you remember, a couple meetings ago, there was discussion about this recognition program and having some sort of form for recognizing people. And so,
Before you go, Al, I would like to apologize to you personally that I didn't have the information at your recognition for serving on the planning commission. Okay. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
We do
We do appreciate you.
spoiled.
Yes, you
Yes.
are
Yep.
appreciated.
Yep. Yes.
So you do a lot, and we couldn't make a list long enough, and we appreciate you keeping us on our toes.
Okay. Sorry, Kathy.
that's okay. So, I drafted up this form and had a couple questions for you. Are we just doing this internally, where the council decides that council nominates somebody, or are we going?
Jenny, what do you think? This is talking about your.
I'd like to take nominations from a broader group and then council decide.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I mean,
Oh.
I didn't envision it being prescriptive, like you have to have somebody every month and this person has to nominate. I thought it seemed like there's a lot of people that don't get appreciated, so or that we don't notice good things that
I
people
like
do.
that. So it could be none 1 month. It could be 2 or 3.
Right, so it could be the right thing. So I think that it should be open to staff nominations, council nominations, somebody from whoever, if it's somebody they think is worthy, that I think that should be, it should be based on worthiness, not trying to check a box. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like sometimes there might be 2 people and you don't want to have to, we have to choose one because we've already had one this month.
Well, and that's partly why I'm asking about how you want to spread the word out, because if we go out to the public, you're going to be doing 10 a month.
Right. Well, the one thought that I brought back as part of it, and I had Shauna make a copy for me. She shared it online, and it was talking about community building and the pillars of community building, and kind of to what this might solve some of the problem is like PUD did the themes for each month. We had thought about this list is like just happens to be like 3 more than 1 per week. Not that we'd want to do a weekly thing because that's a lot of work, but it might give us an idea of kind of the target areas that we're looking at. You know what I'm saying? Like whether it's economic development excellence or whether it's, so then it would give people an idea that we're not talking about just generic, somebody mowed my grass.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, I
I
get a
don't
lot
think
of
it needs-
words.
I don't
get
think it
a
needs
lot
to
of
be a
words.
specific.
No, it doesn't need to be specific, but like maybe
does
this,
give you
I
things
just
to
use
choose
this
from.
as kind of Like you could highlight, so you'd be like, anybody captivating these ideals
Did you
could
see
be
that?
nominated by anybody. That would give people more of a target. Do you understand?
Yes.
Show her, she'll understand better.
Did you see it from,
No, I didn't, but I didn't.
do you want to give that to Kathy? Shauna printed it for me because I don't have a way to print it from home and it's really shrunken. You can barely read it. But that was part of my council report, is just talking about that because I didn't realize you had this. It's really little, sorry.
And you have to paint a house to get an award too.
Yeah, that's that's what I was going to bring up. is
I
you got
originally-
people like Joan, Evelyn, Al that have just showed up that do a lot throughout our community
they don't
service
qualify.
throughout our community, and
But I think it should be, I mean, for me, I had envisioned originally being council and the management team would bring these, whether they came from their committees or whether they came from a group. We know Chief Moss does the Rotary, that they have other exposures. Keith is involved in other things in the community, that they would bring this back. It's all part of our leadership team for the community. And that's kind of primarily, and I mean, Rick brought back the article from the newspaper and brought, Spud and Leona back. And I think that it should be like a community consensus, not the Little League coach. Not that Little League is bad, but it's like should be identified as what's important to us. And that's why Spud and Leona were such a perfect match.
Right. I don't quite get how you want this.
I need to talk more and look at it and more, maybe just brainstorm with you and see how we can.
Okay.
You're talking about criteria and that kind of thing, and that just really hit me, and it kind of was on the same thread. So we can look at what makes sense.
Yeah. And then,
We could have categories for them to make nominations with not a different category every year.
No, but
a
like
list
mark the
of-
box.
Yeah.
Like there'd be 4 different categories. So you'd mark the box and write your little story.
okay.
Kind of like, don't you guys do that for the employee of the year
Yeah,
stuff
like
and
good
those different
customer
things?
service and
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like categories that would be important to our admission, our vision, mark the box, how they qualify, and then you'd write your little story.
Okay. Well, let's talk and
Yeah.
come up with a better form.
Super. I mean, that's almost there. It's just like,
Yeah.
I think clarity for people nominating
Yeah.
is the only part missing.
Okay.
so
Super.
it sounds like you three actually got a good handle and probably could come back with something.
Super.
Okay. Review grass height regulation. Kathy.
This came up because Jenny, Counselor Carlson, had made a comment about the code having something about grass height being.
Actually, I did.
It was you? Okay.
Yeah.
Just between
So-
certain months.
Yeah, you said the months,
Right.
it was a concern. So
Yeah.
that's a code change. So I brought it to you to see if you really want to change if it's just the change in the dates, or do you want to take out the dates and make it 10 inches in
Anytime.
excess of 10
Let's
inches?
just
all
take the
you-
dates out.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a
that works,
council
right?
consensus to do that. So
10 inches.
It seems like it makes more sense to take the dates out.
I think 10 inches is too tall, so.
That's just as much of an eyesore
throughout the year.
throughout the year.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll come back with an ordinance for that at the next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. This meeting's moving right along. Okay, department reports, Terry. Okay, Sue?
A couple weeks ago, we had a sanitary sewer problem, which our guys responded very well to over a weekend. But we discovered that there was an issue with the sewer main, had a big dip in it,
Ooh.
and so we just put together a project, put it out to bid to replace about 620 feet of sewer pipe in order to repair that. It is unfortunately across Columbia Boulevard between 6th and 7th Street. So when that construction starts, it's going to be pretty
Yes.
obnoxious. But we don't really have another choice. We got to take care of this, or we're going to experience more of these same type of issues. But I also wanted to acknowledge Sharon DeRoe from engineering department, our engineering project manager. She came in and worked over the weekend to get these contract documents all ready to go and get all the drawings and everything perfected so that we could get them distributed this week, because it really is a matter of urgency that we get it taken care of. So she did an awesome job of getting all that done, and I appreciate her work. And also acknowledge again Neil's great crew of coming out when we started to have some freezing weather and a little bit of snow. He had guys coming in during the night to make sure that our streets were as safe as they could be with the weather conditions that we had. So, and thankfully it didn't get nearly as bad as they had predicted here, but still I think they did a great job. So that's about all I have this time.
All right, let Sharon know that we thank her as well for coming in on the weekend. Neil?
I don't really have anything other than we're supposed to get another little dose tonight at about 10 o'clock, but it sounds like it's only going to be an inch or so, so
Yeah.
careful out there.
Hey, just a quick, say Sue, coming back to Sue, maybe a detour up on 12th, one going one way, Jackass, to the other going the other way, because you come down that hill, you're going to be all of a sudden.
I think traffic control, they can set it up so that they can detour,
Get
so we
one
can
way.
keep
Okay.
two-way traffic all the way across. Just gonna have to go from one side of the street to the other side of the street and
That
keep
is a
some
bad
plates over
spot.
there.
That is-
Was, just so you know, Rick, as a part of this, the contractor always has to give us a traffic control plan that we either,
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
we either approve that or.
I did not know
make
that, so
changes.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So you're aware of that.
yep,
Yeah.
We kind of leave it up to them and then we tweak it if we think it needs pop.
sure. Okay. Matt?
On the topic of the utility bills, do you want to have a discussion at a future meeting for allowing businesses and nonprofits to come in and have a cost estimate on the fee schedule and a policy and process to do that? And would you like me to maybe come back with a framework in
Awesome.
a future meeting, and then you can
Yeah.
give comments?
It might be a good way of servicing our community, so absolutely.
And this
Yep.
is the second question we've had in just a couple weeks. So.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. I'll work up a framework and cost and stuff, and then you guys can have a discussion about it at a future meeting.
Thanks, Matt. Kathy?
I have a couple things. Every year we do the volunteer recognition for our boards and commission members, and that's coming up in April. And my question to you guys, and I'd like you to determine this, is what do you want to have as far as a caterer, sunshine? It seems like every year I get a negative comment about it, and I just kind of want to head that off and see what you guys want about the food.
For which, again, I'm sorry, I was reading something.
For what?
For which?
The boards and commissions.
Boards and commissions, okay.
Recognition?
Okay.
Do we have to do it in this room?
No.
Because in the time they've been here, we've done it here and we've done it at the library.
I've never done it at the library as far as I can remember.
I went to something
Oh, we
at the.
did one thing, a
Yeah.
training, and then we had snacks.
Yeah.
Remember
Okay,
what a
okay.
difference it made taking it out of the employee recognition, taking it out of this room and putting it first over to Best Western and then over to the Elks, and what a difference in attendance it made? I'm thinking that maybe location has as much to do with it as food, huh? Just a thought.
Yeah.
How many people usually come to this? I don't know the count, I
About
just come.
40.
And last year was a little light, right? Yeah.
This is my question. In a culture, trying to create a culture of gratitude and appreciation, sequestering them into a room all by themselves doesn't really say you're awesome. Doing it in a public place might be more public, so then everybody would see, wow, the city's having saying thank you to these people, whether it's the senior center, whether it's a restaurant, or whether it's wherever. I don't know. I'm just trying to put something out there because I know you work so hard on this, and then we'll have committees of 10 people and only 2 show up.
The library board the volunteer appreciation changed when they started having it. We had it first over at Blackbird Catering, and we're looking for another place to have it this year, but it changed people's perception of it, and they felt more appreciated.
ultimately, I hate to, you
And
know,
turnout got way better.
ultimately, I would like to see,
Turnout got better.
ultimately, I'd like to see maybe if we could talk to the roof because of everything
Yeah.
that we're going to have going downtown. I think
Yeah.
we need to really focus on trying to, not just to pick one company, but that gives you an overall view of what
pretty
we're
central.
getting ready to do down here,
Mm-hmm.
and possibly give people a vision of what will happen down here on the waterfront. We really need to start using, in my opinion, we haven't had anything there. We should see about reaching out to the roof. And
Well, and she said she was wide open to doing events on
Yes.
Tuesdays.
Yep.
She'd
so
be wide
that's
open to
another
doing that.
another issue is I
And they
thought
do catering.
that was
I didn't know that, but they do.
that brings up another issue is I thought that we were actually doing the next county city dinner.
Oh, no.
Yes, and
Or-
because at the last one they asked who's next, and we actually offered, and
No, we
There's
have
a schedule.
there is.
Yes,
Yeah.
we keep with the schedule.
Okay, so when are we?
We
due?
just didn't
We're
know.
not the next one, but the one after. So there's the port, the county, and then the city.
Okay, so what would that be? August? No.
It's, I believe, yeah, it is. It's the third
August?
quarter.
Okay. That would be the ideal place for that too, in my opinion. I could
That's,
be wrong.
I don't know the capacity
might-
there.
Yeah, it might be.
I haven't been
need to
there,
check
but
on how much-
I know that for
On
the
the
amount of
rooftop?
people that come to
Not big
see,
enough, no.
yeah,
Really, even with the
even with the doors.
That's a lot of people when we do those.
we had them at the Warren Country Inn in a smaller room.
Yeah, the capacity
was
of
a
the
smaller
roof with the
group
doors
than-
open
That
is
was a
like
small
50
group.
people, isn't it?
We
That
usually
was
have
the-
I don't know.
half again or twice as many as were there that night.
I
I
don't know.
can just
It
ask
should
how
actually be
many people
September.
they
It
can.
should be ours
They
then.
probably have a fire code capacity.
Well,
that
okay.
Yeah,
So
find
another
out.
thing is maybe if it's being August, maybe we do a pop-up tent catered
okay.
and on the waterfront.
Yeah.
Be August, it'd be warm.
So we probably want to add them to our list of caterers along with the rest of the rotation.
Yeah. So going back to the boards and commissions one, check with the roof.
Yeah.
To see if they can hold 40 or so people,
Mhm.
and then see what they can do for food.
Yep.
Okay, okay. Last meeting, we talked about, when we were talking about the grass and the code being out of date in some areas, I contacted Code Publishing, and for them to do a legal review, it would cost $2,500.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to know if the council wanted us to go ahead and have them do a legal review. It's not a bad idea to do a legal review every few years, every 5 years, I would say.
Okay.
So,
So it's not ongoing, it's all at once.
yeah, they do the whole thing all at once.
Hmm.
They do ongoing, like when an ordinance comes in, but they don't go look at old codes because that's something you have to pay for.
But to go look at old codes, that's the $2,500.
Yes,
Okay, I think.
to look at the
worthwhile.
whole code.
I think we need to start from somewhere, so I think that's a good place to start from.
It's
Okay.
interesting to me that that grass height would require a $2,500 research on whatever legal code does. I don't know, what do they do? Kat?
No, they're doing,
No, it
they're
doesn't.
doing the
Let's
whole
check
code though.
everything,
They're
not
checking
just the
everything in the
The
code.
whole municipal code for
The
$2,500.
entire
Okay.
code.
We found a weird.
That makes sense. I'm thinking the $2,500, this is like government spending. Wait a minute.
If we go through, if we go through the whole code, then it's only as new things come up that things will have to be changed, not, that won't be major again.
Right, we did a legal review when we initially went with Code Publishing, which has been a long time, and I don't believe we've done one since, so
About,
it's time.
about how long do you think?
Oh, at least probably 8 to 10 years.
Okay, yeah, I would think so. Don't you think so?
Yep.
Okay. The last thing I have is the city-county dinner is on March 6th at the Elks. If you guys can put that on your calendar, and then let me know if you can make it let me know by next Tuesday.
I will be making it.
Okay,
I will too.
okay. That's it, thank you.
Okay.
You want a tourism report? or events.
Yeah, Tina.
Tina Curry Consulting. I don't know. Is that working?
I think you're on.
Does it work? I don't know.
Here, tap it.
Is it on?
It's on.
Oh yeah, it's on.
Okay. So first of all, I just want to thank Neil and his staff for helping me whenever I need it without complaining. And Thad does a great job too. And Sharon and Jenny and Crystal and Heidi are all my go-to people for getting answers quickly. So I really appreciate their influence and ideas and information about some things that have happened before and how to expedite things. I've been really busy. We started our first merchants meeting, which Jenny was able to attend, and John and Rick, and the feedback was super positive, and people are just wanting to have another one quickly, and we took down a whole list of things for improvements and change, and we've already been able to act on several of them. So we'll probably look to have another merchants meeting in March, maybe the third week of March or so, once I see who can do it. We want to keep it on a Monday night at a time when everybody can come, and that seemed to work out pretty well. So if you want to attend, John will send you a message and let you know when the next date is. The museum has been open for a couple weekends, and the response is really good. People are amazed that building is open. We've had people that have never come downtown before. That always happens. And we are... during the Halloween meeting that we had with Jenny was here, I had a couple of people that came before the meeting with some ideas. One of them was to do Halloween rocks. So we are going to do Halloween rocks at the gift shop. So what we're doing is we have people that will paint the rocks in a Halloween theme, and we're going to kind of stockpile them. And then the person that brought the idea forward is going to put the rocks throughout the community, and we'll have scavenger hunts for them. And then on the weekends, if you find a rock, you can paint a rock. So you find a rock that you want to keep, and then you can come to the museum and paint another rock that you can leave someplace. So kind of like see a rock, take a rock, leave a rock kind of idea. And that will be a free activity for families that want something to do on the weekends with their kids, which is, I think, friendly and inviting for people. And a lot of families have been coming through the museum, so I think that's, a really good idea for them. The other thing that I'm wanting to throw out there is with Easter coming up, is to see if you think that we should have the Easter Bunny come to Halloween Town and be at the gift shop and the museum, and we could have kids can come and get their picture taken with the Easter Bunny leading up to the big egg hunt. Then we can promote the egg hunt at the museum, at the gift shop, put it on Discover Columbia County, put it on Columbia County events, and really push that also through our, if we had the Easter Bunny, we could maybe have an ad in the paper or something that lets people know that we're going to have the Easter Bunny. You can get your picture taken. And it really won't cost us anything because I'll just use props that I already own myself. So if you guys are amiable to that could be a good idea to just continue letting people know about the museum too.
Did you talk to Evelyn at all?
Yeah, I told her to submit,
Do you want
but
to
I
start?
didn't go any further than that because you guys,
I love the idea of helping promote the mega egg hunt.
Yep.
Okay.
I have
Yeah.
Next card.
I have a question. Because I think it's the third week in March is spring break, and Easter is the first Sunday in April.
Mm-hmm.
That it might be an ideal prep because the kids will be out of school.
Yeah.
So those last 2 weekends
Yeah.
in March leading up
Yeah.
to it to really be spring, people will be out more.
Yeah.
Be awesome.
We might control it a little bit for the number of people coming because when I did this myself, it was mayhem, packed. So we might want to control it a little bit and have, I was thinking Easter cupcakes and a little, beverage bar that they could opt into as part of the experience. So there's a little bit of money maybe involved and we won't be overrun with just, when something is free, it can get a little
Yes,
bit crazy.
It can.
But so make
But
it
that's a
really
good crazy.
friendly. Yeah,
A good
make it
crazy.
really friendly and
But-
inviting.
but
and maybe
small, and you have time to still react to this.
exactly. So they could, choose to donate or not would be my
Maybe you could offer, they could color down there too as well.
Well, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The-
We're somewhat
promote color
limited by
contest.
okay, if you're going to color for an hour in that
Yeah,
chair, I
yeah.
want you out of there.
Yes.
But we could maybe figure out how to put more chairs and tables than what we have now. If you wanted to, I would rather they take that home with them and they just have a nice
take
little
away.
I
experience.
just wonder how
and
much
then-
those cheap, like 5 packs of crayons are. You know,
Oh,
I'm
like
just-
$1,
if that probably, huh?
yeah, at the dollar store.
Yeah.
And if they wanted to, that's a great. If we're going to be doing that, that would also be a good place to promote the houses. Paint a house.
Yeah.
Maybe, take this home with you, paint it, and leave it someplace else. And maybe the museum would be a good place to put a permanent installation in when that project is over that would be protected.
But we have time. This is
Yeah, that's another thing.
I appreciate you so much being here for the tourism update because it always seems like we only hear about it in the fall. I like hearing the little tidbits
Yeah.
throughout the year.
Yeah.
And I was trying to connect Joan to you because you're kind of the display lady, and she was working on that. So that worked
Yeah.
out that you're both here.
Yeah. So just don't forget that, anyone can post on Discover Columbia County for free.
Yep.
Anywhere from, doesn't matter where you're from, as long as you're in Columbia County.
So this year will there be a schedule of events in one place, not paging through, but in one place?
What do you mean not
Like
paging through?
Monday, these are all the events that are going to
Oh,
happen
yes.
on Monday.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are all the events that are going to happen on Tuesday.
Well, I
And
mean,
even
you
if
can,
it-
we
even
can
with
do
the
that.
disclaimer that-
Yeah, we can do that, but the problem with doing it on just one sheet is that it probably won't all fit because there's so many activities that are happening every day that we're doing ourselves.
Okay, two
So
or three.
the bolt-on ones, but it will be in one spot.
Okay.
That's super one-page print. Yeah, and we just got notified about 2 weeks ago that the Monster Dash will not be happening this year.
Aw.
Makes us very sad, and that the chamber is trying to decide what they could or could not accomplish for Halloween. So we'll wait and see what they come up with, if anything. I'm also just about completed with 13 nights with the lineup of acts. We're going to be ending with Curtis Salgado, which is
Really?
super cool. Mm-hmm. And
I'm excited.
no, yeah, he's good. That's good.
He's one of the first performers I ever heard
Yeah.
moving to Oregon.
And I'm also working on the 4th of July, which will be interesting. We've already got the fireworks contract all
Yep.
coming to fruition. So if anyone would like to throw money at me, start now, because there's a lot of things I got to pay for.
Yes.
So the 4th of July, we're basically just kind of sticking to our operational plan for the fireworks and having the tailgating opportunity for that day. And music, of course, will be Hit Machine for 4th of July. And perhaps some other music during the day would be fun during the trash can painting. But I have to, if they're going to do that.
One thing that you didn't know that Rick knows, and most people have, the band used to do stuff down here. during the daylight hours.
Yeah.
And we had a different band director that was not open to that. And what I've heard is that they have new people leading music at the high school now.
Oh, at the high
that are
school.
yeah.
It wasn't
very
just the high school band.
It was alumni.
alumni.
So people that are 12 years old to people that are 60-year-olds did community music.
Yeah.
People
And it
brought
was just in the
picnics and
day.
stayed all day.
It was just in the day, and it was people spread out their blankets, and
Mm-hmm.
it was amazing.
Okay. Well, I will reach out to the high school and see what
That would be cool.
if that would be an option for them to come.
Yeah,
And
'cause-
I would emphasize that that VIP parking down there, tailgating, and,
Yeah.
and how easy it is to get out of that
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
You pay a little money to park there,
Right.
but boy, do you
End of the night.
not have to. You just kind of get right on out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And
worth it.
So does anyone have any other questions? We're kind of just swimming along and getting things lined up. We'll hopefully have the Festival of the Fairies by the end of March, the beginning of April, open to the public.
I remember hearing something about this. You talked about that festival.
We're adding another festival.
Well, it would be something to do just on weekends that would draw people to town. And so we'll have the scavenger hunts for the rocks. We'll have the coin challenge. We'll have the gift shop open and the museum open, and this new thing on the waterfront. And then also the escape room people let us know yesterday that they're going to do escape rooms on the weekends if we're going to do this.
That's cool.
So we'll have reasons for people to come year round, that's what we kind of want, is to get people thinking.
When you say escape room, you mean down here?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the Haunted Mansion.
Yep.
So the Haunted Mansion will be open for a Haunted Mansion if they choose to do that. But
Is
they're
that
gonna
the haunted house? It's a haunted
yeah,
mansion.
yeah. But they're going to do like 3 different escape rooms, which would be really cool,
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
cool. So you could do
So Crystal is putting together a flyer that would that we can use as like a stuffer that would go in the message boards, and it also would be for small ads and things like that we can promote all the stuff on one ticket rather than trying to do it each individually and losing the message in the process and people not knowing what's going on when and yeah. So does anyone have any questions?
Nope. Good job on all the work you're doing. You're keeping community first, but also understanding that you are in charge of tourism. So it's a balancing act. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yep.
Just remember, throw everyone to Discover Columbia County because it's free advertising, and we had 250,000 people visit that site last year. So that's big numbers. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. John.
I might add that Tina and I went down to talk to Travel Oregon offices about their opportunities to kind of help each other out, I guess would be the success of our Halloween event. They have resources that can, they have the ability to help us through websites and social media campaigns and things of that nature. So we made some traction there. Other than that, I don't have a lot.
Okay. Councilor Locke.
I'll speak during executive session.
Okay. Councilor Carlson.
The only thing I have is I went to the business meeting with the mayor, and just something that one of the businesses brought to bear is, we always hear the comparison to us to Scappoose, and they're like, do people need to be reminded that we are the customer? Yeah. The businesses are the customer, and I just wanted to just put that on the record. It's something that is close to both Rick and myself and Susan, and I think all the council feels that way. But just a reminder, it's really great when we're nice to each other, but it's like everybody that comes in the door is our customer. And we should be trying to help them, whether it's the police officer helping them, a parks person, a permit person. If we don't have the right answer, we should be trying to help them to get to the right answer. The business owner shared a story of trying to do business in Scappoose and business in St. Helens, and it took 2 weeks in Scappoose and 4 months in St. Helens. And he's like, I accept it costs different, but I do not accept that I'm not treated the same and that I don't have the same importance. And it's like it really hit home for me, and it's like we can do better.
Yep.
And I just, I'm always normally the Pollyanna positive, but I think we have a lot of people working really hard, but just we need to pull it together just a little bit better for businesses that do persevere and endure and stick their neck out and their money out to employ people in our town, and we need to do better. That's all I have.
Thank you, Janie. Councillor Khan?
The library closed at 5:30 last night, closed early so that the employees could actually get home safely, and there were only 3 people in the library, so and 2 of them were taking tests that were completed at 5:30, so it seemed like a good time. Margaret's not here today because we are staffed too thin, so
She's working.
she's working.
Yeah.
Yep. Long ago and far away in another galaxy, I was on the St. Helens School Board for 7 years. And at that time, I was also attending city council meetings, and I saw a lot of ways that maybe we had a lot of the same patrons. We had a lot of the same audience for the things that we do. And it was too soon to pull together any collaborations, but more recently than that, there may be an opportunity, and some of us have been looking into the feasibility of the school district and the city collaborating on maybe some sort of park and recreation program. There are a lot of school buildings that are open or that are available, and the taxpayers are paying for them year round, but they aren't used. And there are a lot of other ways in which we think maybe that we can collaborate for the good of the community. So we're just sort of exploring that, and I wanted to let you know that.
Thank you, Susan. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Just for the record, Council President Morton asked to be excused, and he is excused for medical reasons. So, and what I have to report on is last night I hosted Jeff Merkley's town hall meeting. Actually, quite a few people showed up. I mean, there was probably about 35 people. There was quite a few elected officials that did show up too. I was surprised. Rainier and school district was able to make it, and but it was actually a really good town hall because it was so small that it was more of an intimate, and we didn't even have to draw tickets. Everybody pretty much got a chance to share, and we kind of freelanced the questions and it was a good flow. And I just gotta say, I was honored to do that. And Jeff Merkley is just a really down-to-earth human being. The more I get to know him, the few times I've met him, that's, for a first impression, that's what I got. So I was honored to do that. So that's all I have. So we're gonna go ahead and adjourn this regular meeting.
So are we gonna go into?
We are gonna